Hello, it's Caroline here for the second instalment of our new Let's Talk About series, and today we're continuing the theme of talking about alcoholism in doctors, because it's January, often a time when people are thinking about how much they're drinking and their other habits and whether they're healthy or not. And today I wanted to have a little think about how you can tell the difference between harmful use of a substance and dependence. So, when do you cross over that line? When does having just a couple of glasses of wine a night become actually an addiction? So as I mentioned in my first video, there are diagnostic criteria that are used across the world by doctors to diagnose both harmful use of substances and addictions. And typically the things that tend to point towards a dependence syndrome are things like increasing use over time, not being able to stop, getting uncomfortable symptoms when you do stop that substance or behaviour. But again, I find it more helpful to think about what it's like for people every day, because we live in the real world and we don't use diagnostic criteria in our day-to-day language, do we, when we're talking about having a drink or not? So what I've found from talking to lots of other addicts and alcoholics like me is that for quite a number of dependent drinkers, they sort of knew from their very first drink that something wasn't right, that their response was different to the other people. So for me, I was certainly aware from my early drinking days that I would always, I'd always be the first one to start drinking. I'd kind of do a little mental calculation as to how much alcohol there was and how many people there were, and make sure that there was going to be enough for me. And if there wasn't, I'd feel really hard done by. I would be the last one drinking, the last one standing, and I became sort of known for being quite fun and outgoing, but actually it was hiding a deeper, darker need to keep drinking. And so some alcoholics, some addicts know from their very first use of a substance or a behaviour that it's just not right. Whereas for others, it kind of takes a little bit longer. They might have a relatively normal relationship to alcohol or drugs like throughout their life, and then suddenly something will trigger them into a more dependent pattern. So somebody who might have just had, like, I don't know, a bottle of wine with their partner at the weekend and maybe an odd G&T and a bit of a drink at Christmas, suddenly finds themselves sort of reaching for a beer at the end of the day after work, and that turning into the next day and the next day, and it creeping up. And within a sort of just a few weeks, sometimes longer, sometimes a few months, the pattern changes. So I think it varies depending on who you're talking to, and I think the criteria are really helpful, but actually it's more about the pattern of your drinking over time, whether that's changed or not, how you feel about it. So is it something you feel you need? Is it something that you would really struggle with the idea of not having for a certain amount of time? Now, a lot of people struggle with the idea of just 1 month in January when they try dry January, but imagine, could you not drink for 6 months or a year? How would that feel for you? Is that, does that ring warning bells? Is it like, because I knew for me, when I was thinking about stopping drinking, it was like, there's no way, absolutely no way I'm going to make it to 6 months or 9 months without picking up a drink, because I just knew in my heart of hearts that I would have a bad day at work and need to pick up a drink, or I'd have a celebration that I'd really struggle to not have drink with. So yeah, often you can just know, you just have this sense that that you've got a bit of an issue if you feel you can't live without it, basically. I'm going to leave it there for today. I just wanted to think about that little issue, really, about, how can you know? And if you're struggling, please know that there is help out there. It's incredibly common to struggle with both harmful use and dependence to drugs, alcohol and other behaviours. Very common amongst doctors. You are not alone. There is help out there. Please get in touch at joyfuldoctor.com. There's loads of free resources on there, and we would be very happy to signpost you to free support resources for doctors struggling with addictions. So yeah, do get in touch, and I hope you're all enjoying your January. I'm just enjoying a little bit of fresh air before I start my day's work, and I'll see you next week with the next instalment of Let's Talk About. All right, see you soon. Bye.